The Galactic Alliance training facility orbited a gentle moon in the Centauri system. Commander Vex stood watching the assembled warriors from 17 different species, all considered alike by their respective worlds. His 4 eyes narrowed as the human representative jogged toward the gathering, late as usual. "Apologies, Commander," said Jim, the only human in the cohort. "I was finishing my morning routine." Vex's outer membrane rippled with annoyance. The human was consistently tardy, consistently casual, and consistently confounding. Still, protocols demanded his inclusion. Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world, and the Alliance needed to understand what made its inhabitants so resilient. "Today begins the endurance trials," Vex announced to the assembled warriors. "Each representative will demonstrate their species' traditional training methods." The aliens performed admirably. The insectoid krill demonstrated their remarkable ability to lift 40 times their body weight. The crystalline tarn showcased their meditation techniques that allowed them to go without sustenance for 30 cycles. The serpentine draki exhibited their famous thermal regulation, surviving both extreme heat and cold. Jim watched politely, occasionally jotting notes. When all 17 alien species had demonstrated their capabilities, Vex turned to the human. "Representative Jim, Earth's turn." "Right," Jim replied, setting down his water bottle. "I'll need a flat area about 3 kilometers long." The request caused murmurs among the aliens. Most demonstrations had required specialized equipment or carefully controlled environments. Jim seemed to need nothing. The simulation chamber reconfigured to provide a simple track extending farther than most alien eyes could see. "This is a basic endurance exercise humans call running," Jim explained casually. "Children on Earth begin this at approximately 5 years old. Elite warriors might do this for 42 kilometers without stopping." "42?" exclaimed Geltz, a gelatinous being who had proudly demonstrated his ability to engulf small objects. "Without rest cycles, without stopping," Jim confirmed. "Today, I'll just demonstrate 10 kilometers. That's considered very basic." Vex gestured for Jim to proceed, his skepticism evident. Jim began his demonstration at what, to him, was a comfortable pace. To the assembled aliens, it appeared as though he was attempting to escape a predator. His bipedal locomotion, propelling his dense frame repeatedly against gravity, was both inefficient and jarring to witness. "Is he in distress?" asked Yuli, a crystalline being whose movement was primarily through slow crystallization processes. "No," Vex responded, checking the biometric data streaming to his neural implant. "His respiratory and cardiovascular systems are functioning within normal parameters." The aliens watched in growing discomfort as Jim continued his run. His skin became moist with sweat, another biological feature most found disturbing. The human's body was actively cooling itself by secreting water, precious water, onto its exterior. After 7 minutes, many of the warriors began to fidget uncomfortably. "How much longer will this continue?" asked Traz, an honored warrior from a low-gravity moon. "Approximately 40 minutes," Vex replied, his voice tight. A horrified silence fell over the group. Halfway through the demonstration, Jim increased his pace. His breathing grew heavier, but he showed no signs of stopping. The assembled aliens watched as his muscles continuously contracted and expanded, his joints absorbing impact after impact. "The human's internal temperature is rising," noted Geltz, who could sense such things. Yet he continues. "Their species evolved to persistently pursue prey until it collapsed from exhaustion." Vex explained, recalling the briefing he'd received. "They call it persistence hunting. They chase prey until it surrenders to exhaustion." Traz's voice carried pure disbelief. What kind of evolutionary pressure creates such a thing? When Jim finally completed the 10 kilometers, he jogged back to the group, his shirt darkened with sweat, his breathing slightly elevated. He took a drink from his water bottle and smiled. "Sorry about the wait. That's just the warm-up for most human soldiers," he said pleasantly. "Typically, we'd follow this with resistance training." "Resistance? Training," repeated Yuli slowly. "Yes. We deliberately damage our muscle fibers so they regrow stronger," Jim explained. "We call it lifting weights." 3 of the smaller aliens moved away subtly. "Would you care to demonstrate?" Vex asked, his professional curiosity overriding his discomfort. Jim looked around at the increasingly disturbed faces of the alien warriors. Even the predatory species appeared unsettled by the casual way he discussed voluntary muscle damage. Perhaps another time, Jim said diplomatically, I wouldn't want to monopolize the training session. Later, in his private quarters, Vex reviewed the day's recordings. The humans' demonstration had caused significant distress among the cohort. He noted several warriors had requested transfers following the humans' explanation of marathon running and something called CrossFit. Vex composed his report to Alliance Command carefully. Humans, he explained, had evolved on a world that demanded continuous movement, voluntary suffering, and deliberate tissue damage as survival mechanisms. They had normalized these behaviors to such a degree that they performed them recreationally. His recommendation was clear. Earth should be reclassified as a Class 14 death world, and humans should be approached with extreme caution. Any species that considered running 10 kilometers of basic warm-up was not to be underestimated. As he finished his report, Vex's communication panel lit up. It was the human. Sorry to bother you, Commander, Jim said cheerfully. I was wondering if the facility has stairs. I usually climb a few hundred floors after dinner to help with digestion. Vex stared at the screen for a long moment before slowly reaching to increase Earth's threat classification one level higher.